Hello and welcome to the HBCU Experience, the HBCU Experience Royal Queens Edition virtual book launch. This is history in the making. We're so excited to start off today. We're getting everyone excited prior to our actual launch where we're going to meet all the contributing authors today. But right now we have visionary author Ashley Little on the phone, as well as co-founder of the HBCU Experience Movement, Fred Witt. And we have the CEO and founder of the HBCU Pride Nation actually on the line. So we're excited here, and we're just going to allow them to bring their greetings and get excited before we get started.
Cool. What's going on, beautiful people? I am Travis P. Jackson. I am the CEO and founder of HBCU Pride Nation, and spring 2011 graduate of the greatest HBCU, the illustrious HBCU, North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. I am proud to be here with you all today to celebrate these queens and talk HBCUs. So, what's going on?
Yes, and I am Carla Janelle Ricks. I'm a former Miss North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University 2010, 2011, and today I'll be also hosting as we get to go deeper with our contributing authors and even more so understand more about the HBCU Experience Movement. This is a wonderful idea. As we all know right now, between all times is a time for us to elevate the experience of HBCUs and what they do for our community. So this movement is extremely important. So we're excited to be here and have our queens here to share their stories for today.
Yeah. And speaking of stories, just speaking about the initiative that Ashley Little, Fred Witt, my great brother, and Ushay Bird has done with establishing these books, these different editions to capture the stories of HBCU graduates. It's just like a beautiful thing. So they've done at A&T, Tennessee State University, Virginia State University, and now we have the Queens. And a beautiful thing about this edition, and that it's like multi-generational. So being able to get the perspective of so many different people, so many different queens.
Yes, and a little bit about even with the movement, what's so important, what's cool is all four of us actually participated in the first book of the HBCU Experience Movement, which was an A&T edition, and it was launched last year. And we had many authors to contribute their personal experiences, and now they're available for the nation and the world to pretty much hear and take part in. Yeah. So what we want everyone to do right now, before we bring our queens on, before you see your university represented, to just share this video, get it started. If you all have any things that you all are looking forward to see, let us know in the comments and we'll engage before we bring them on. Mm-hmm. But Travis, I know us in particular, before we get started, our HBCU experience at A&T is huge into the people that we are today. So you are the CEO and founder of HBCU Pride Nation. Can you just let us know and understand a little bit more how your HBCU experience helped you to be the CEO and founder of a very prominent and influential organization that you run today?
Thank you for that, Carla. My experience at A&T, of course, you heard my voice before you seen who I was, because I was very, very loud. I was all over the place. And you got a big dose of that our freshman year when I was freshman class president and you was Miss Freshman. And just like wanting to be involved, wanting to know people and connect with people, period. So being able to go to HBCU, A&T, I already knew I was going to be there. And one of the biggest reasons why I chose to go to A&T was because I didn't have my father in my life. So my father lived right down the street, like 10 minutes away. So those 4 years gave me the opportunity to build a great bond with my father. But while I was at A&T, I was in SGA, student activities. I was everywhere. And I was able to like even get relationships with Ezel Blair, Dr. Jabril Kazan, the A&T for, because at HBCU, you can become history, you could touch history, and you could read history. And that's one of the greatest things that I love about it. And then I also started to see how much of a disconnect we had sometimes when it came between the big HBCUs and the smaller HBCUs.
Yeah, that's the
So
thing.
yeah, so the funny thing about how I became the CEO and founder of HBCU Pride Nation was, you know, being involved and helping people. That's what I do.
That's you.
Um, yeah, that's me. And I was about to run for SGA president. I got disqualified, and the same day I got disqualified from being in SGA, I got qualified to run my own company. So
Ooh.
being able to take what I learned in college and apply it to what I do now, it's just a beautiful thing. I've been very, very blessed. But promoting HBCUs and telling the stories of HBCUs is a mission that we all have to be a part of, because of the fact that we all have to put in the work, because work was put in for us to be able to be here today and to be HBCU graduates. And I could go into the whole history of HBCUs,
Yeah.
but yeah, I love black colleges. So yeah, man. And then I got Fred Witt right there. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
I'm
So
so excited. And as you mentioned, Fred, that's so crazy how our worlds just all connect, and they usually are rooted back to this A&T experience. So I'm gonna share one of mine really quick. Coming in as Miss Freshman, I was just, oh my gosh, what in the world do I want to be? With Ashley Little being my Miss Senior, and
ooh,
Carly Hampton being my Miss Junior, and Candace Johnson being my Miss A&T. They poured into me, and they were already a part of a sisterhood of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And they just showed me a different love, a different zest, a different sense of professionalism. You walk this walk and talk this talk, and most importantly, service, that I hadn't seen before, but it resonated deep within my soul. So I'm just so thankful to be here today and still be a part of the movement as it continues. And I love the fact that it's called the movement. And to Fred's point, now going out and continuing and starting a career and working for JP Morgan Chase, we are highly, highly dedicated to advancing Black pathways. And seeing Fred at one of the Advancing Black Pathways event here in DC, most recently when we had our inaugural event, corporate America understands the importance of our voices, importance of our universities. And it's just cool how we as Aggies and HBCU graduates are just coming together, regardless of what the cause or case may be, to just continue pushing and moving the needle forward. So today
yeah.
is going to be a special day as we hear from Queens
And
specifically.
then as we speak about Ashley and we speak about Fred, you also have Uche.
Have to
That
say
was
Uche, yes, the other co-founder of the HBCU Experience Movement.
yeah. So I'll say my thing about Fred, and then I also say my thing about Uche. So Uche was Mr. Aggie, right, at A&T, and he was, and who Uche is as a person, as a man, as a leader is so amazing because he took me up under his wing as well. And everybody knows that, like, if I needed to find out who was, I'm going to call you. I'm going to Facebook. I'm going to MySpace. I'm going wherever it. I gotta find you. I'm going to find you. And I reached out to Uche and told him what I was trying to do while I was at A&T and like the things I was trying to do to succeed. And Uche just took me up under his wing. And then when it came to Fred, I've never said this to Fred, but I talk to Fred all the time when I see him. But Fred is that person that you have to know. If you don't know Fred Whitaker, then something's wrong with you. And also because like Fred, he's like a turn up king, but also when it comes to his bit, when it comes to the business aspect of how Fred moves, like you have to pay attention to how Fred is. And I've been paying attention to Fred for a very long time, and he's just being consistent, even to a lot of different things, bro. So being able to be a part of a HBCU network, because when you get into one HBCU, you are a part of the HBCU of
There.
all 101 HBCUs. So yeah,
All right. We saw Fred took his mic off.
Yeah, I was about to say, Travis, I don't know who paid you to say that, but thank you.
hey, you ain't gotta pay me to tell the truth, bro.
I don't know who paid you to say that, man, but thank you, man. I've been watching your career for a long time. You and Carl, I'm very proud of you guys. You guys are continuing the legacy to keep spreading the words about HBCUs, and it's very important for us to share our stories and get our stories put out there so that, people know that, you can go to a HBCU and still accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in your career and in life and your goals that you have set for yourself. You know, that they always try to tell us, hey, if you want to be successful in any business, you need to go to, you know, a bigger school or a PWI school or whatever. But, you know, I always say to people that, you know, I graduated, you know, a few years ago. I'm not gonna say how old I am, but I've been working in the entertainment business for quite some time now, and I've made a lot of successful deals and created a lot of successful opportunities with people that went to HBCUs that I met at HBCUs, and we've continued to, you know, build from the things that we did in college, because we had that foundation in college that I learned at North Carolina A&T. I'm also a graduate from there as well too. So, you know, I think it's important for all of us to tell our stories. You know, you don't have to be the person in front of the camera or the person in front of the spotlight to make a difference in any field that you want to be in. You know what I'm saying? And you can learn all of that at a HBCU. You know, a lot of things I do this day, I learned at A&T. And that taught me my foundation on how to move and how to network and how to build and how to keep relationships with people to this day to help me accomplish the things that I'm trying to accomplish, man. So I just want everybody to be able to tell the story, man. I'm very excited about this project. I'm very excited about what we're about to do today. And, you know, the biggest thing is, you know, while we're telling our stories for the next generation, we want to just make sure we continue to motivate the next generation to tell their stories and give back to HBCU, so that way they are motivating the next generation after them, so we can continue the legacies to keep going and going and going. You know, for me, my biggest thing is creating a legacy and showing my daughter, you know, the importance of HBCUs and how she can benefit from it, and, you know, and then go from there. So, man, like I said, you know, I'm very excited, super thankful to be a part of this project. Excited for everybody that's tuning in right now, man. And today's gonna be, you know, a lot of fun.
Yeah. I agree. And I think with that, we have our watch parties going. We are excited just to continue this conversation of all those points that Fred talked about. Anybody who graduated from an HBCU, it runs deep in your heart and it's a part of who you are. So we are ready to hear from our queens. And what we'll do is give a little bit of time for everyone else to get very settled before we get started and hear exactly from quite a few different universities represented in the HBCU experience, the HBCU Royal Queens edition of the actual book launch.
The first ever HBCU Queens Anthology, the HBCU Experience. The HBCU Royal University Queens Edition is a collection of stories written by prominent queens throughout the world. Queens who are doing great things in their careers, businesses, and communities nationally and internationally. The authors share their stories and experiences of how being an HBCU Royal Queen has molded them into the people they are today. Purchase your copy today and support the HBCU Experience, the HBCU Royal University Queens Edition at Amazon.com.
Hello, and welcome to the very first book launch of the HBCU Experience, the HBCU Experience Royal Queens Edition book launch. Today is going to be a very special day as we get to hear from contributing authors to this book that is going to be a collection of stories shared by queens of universities. And hello, and welcome to the very first book launch of the. We're looking forward to having everyone with us today and really getting to hear and deep dive into a lot of queen stories and perspectives of where they are now. As they led their universities, they still are definitely trailblazers and pioneers to so many things within our community today. So we're hoping everyone feel inspired and also be exposed to the HBCU experience. With that said, we're going to go over a little bit of what today will consist of. We're going to learn about the HBCU experience movement from co-founders. We're also going to hear from two forward authors who are integral into what the HBCU queen is. And then we get to hear snippets. We get a taste of what we'll receive for our souls, our hearts, our minds in the book of the HBCU experience, Royal Queens edition, from the actual contributing authors. So with that being said, what we'll start off today with is hearing from our actual co-founders and visionary author of the HBCU experience movement, LLC, Ashley Little, Fred Witt, and Uche Bird. All right, so we are going to hear an overview of what the HBCU experience movement is from our visionary author, Ashley Little, and co-founder of the HBCU experience movement, as well as Fred Witt, co-founder of the HBCU experience movement.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Little. A little bit about me. I'm a corporate professional by day, serial entrepreneur by night, and I am one of the co-founders of the HBCU Experience Movement, LLC. I am a proud graduate of North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride, and a proud member of the Alpha Mu chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And the reason why myself, Fred Witt, and Uche Bird started this movement was to share our stories and give back to our HBCUs financially, right? So the purpose of this movement is a collection of stories from alumni throughout the world, sharing their stories of how their university has molded them into the people they are today, and not only sharing their stories, but giving back financially. So we saw that there was a need for our young alumni to start giving back. And so we wanted to be the change we wanted to see by creating a solution to get our young alumni more involved by sharing our stories, and not only sharing our stories, but investing back in our HBCUs. And so we are so thankful with all of the support, all of the schools that we have worked with thus far. Our goal is to build genuine relationships and partnerships and endowments with the university, and eventually touch all 107 HBCUs. So we're excited for all the great things that we plan to do with the movement. Our goal is to leave a legacy, right? Leave a legacy for generations to come, so that they'll be able to, want to give back and want to invest in our HBCUs, because we know that our HBCUs are a big part of who we are today. And so I'll let Fred Witt take it from here, who will talk about the importance of sharing our stories.
Excuse me. How's everybody doing? My name is Fred Witt. I graduated from North Carolina A&T State University, 2004. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi, Spring 04, Blood and Mu Psi chapter, and also a co-founder of the HBCU experience. To piggyback off of what Ashley was saying, man. I'm an advocate, and I think it's very big that we tell our stories. I think it's very big that we create our legacies and we let the world know how powerful HBCUs are, and how powerful we are together as a whole. I think it's really important that we also give back to HBCUs, and we start teaching the generations after us, like, we must continue to support HBCUs. We must continue to keep going to HBCUs to continue to keep creating our own legacies, and don't let nobody deter you. You can accomplish anything you want to accomplish in any field that you want to be in when you go to a HBCU. All you got to do is just set your goals, and then you build from there. But having a foundation and a core at a HBCU can help take you a long way in any goal or any career, or anything that you have set that you want to do. But at the same time, while you're learning all this stuff at HBCUs, we also got to remember that we got to take care of our HBCUs as well too, by giving back to our HBCUs and letting the young alumni know that, hey, you have a plethora and a huge network of people that graduated before you, and you're gonna have a huge network of people that's gonna graduate after you. But if we don't take care of our HBCUs and give back to our HBCUs, then it's like, we got to continue the legacy for the next generations after us and after us and after us. So thank you guys. Thank everybody. I'm very excited about today. I think today is going to be very, very special and very, very dope.
Awesome. Well, thank you both, Ashley and Fred. Aggies, we always appreciate you and definitely appreciate you all creating this space, necessary space for us. We also are super excited about Uche Bird, who is also a co-founder with you all, even though not visual right now. We thank him as well. With that being said, we want to get one step closer to this book. We see Dale smiling in the corner. And as you all, if you are an HBCU queen or affiliated with the world of queens, you are very familiar with both Dr. Judy Rashid and Miss Dale Williams. So we are going to hear from our forward authors. They are forward authors for very intentional reasons because they put time, energy, and a lot of their purpose is put back into our communities by instilling strength and class and just so many things into our HBCU queens. So first, we're going to hear a snippet from Dr. Rashid, who unfortunately is not live with us today, as she is doing many projects actually in Africa, so affiliated with Africa. So we're going to hear a snippet from her towards the queens before we hear from Dale Williams. But thank you all, both Fred and Ashley, for your words.
A great South African journalist, Ziligazi, once stated that we can't allow people to get away with lies when they won't let us get away with the truth. So you, queens, have dared to continue the proud legacy by telling your own story. As proud members of the historically Black college and university family, we must always tell our own story about us, for if we don't, someone else will. Do not seek permission to do so, for power is never conceded. It has to be taken. You have the authority within you as orchestrated by God, who has blessed you to become. Always know that once a queen, always a queen. Continue to own it and be the queen that the people chose you to be. Live out your legacy by always finding someone or something to give back to. For too much is given, much is required. There is a mighty cloud of witnesses from the ages that is cheering you on. So live your regal status to the fullest. An African proverb states that if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Our community needs us, and we need them. Let's get busier. Hashtag Royal Sisterhood.
Hashtag Royal Sisterhood. And anybody knows who knows Dr. Rashid knows that she's definitely a sister, a woman of Delta, just an amazing mentor and friend who's going to continue her evolution in so many different ways of giving back to the community. But without further ado, we are now going to hear from Ms. Dale Williams, who is the founder of Leadership for Queens. This is a program that many queens go to prior to their reign, and they are instilled with trainings and teachings that not only give them the confidence, but keep them at the core of that servant leader. And of course, she has that experience of being in that role as a former Miss Tennessee State University, 1992, 1993. So Dale, we're so excited to hear from you as a forward author and why the HBCU Queen is so important for the HBCU experience.
Thank you so much, Carla. And I have to thank you initially because you are very, very responsible for getting us involved in this project. And you and I have worked together when we hosted the conference in North Carolina. A&T hosted us one year. So I met you then, and then you remembered your experience, and then you introduced me to Ashley Little and her team, Fred and Uche. And I just want to tell you guys that I am so very proud of you guys because you are the young alumni. You are the ones that have to make this happen. And I'm so proud of you. So if I haven't said it, hats off to the projects and the work that you're doing for our HBCUs. As you mentioned, I am the founder of Leadership for Queens, and we actually would have been in the process of having our training this month. But of course, COVID-19 mess that training possibility up. But see here, now you're giving us that platform to be able to give the Queens something that I think is so valuable, and that's our experiences. So I have been given the opportunity to give the forward, to be a forward author, but also I have been given the opportunity to speak about the historical significance of HBCU Queens. And I think that a lot of times we don't realize how this is a part of our Black history and our Black culture, and that this is something that has been going on for, since the inception. Within 5 to 10 years of the inceptions of the establishment of HBCUs, Black queens were cropping up. And we are so unique in that we were founded on a college campus. And a lot of people want to confuse us with homecoming queens, and there's nothing wrong with homecoming queens, but that is not our establishment. We were queens that were identified as student leaders on the campuses of HBCUs. So you can see the totality of how the HBCU queen was created. And so a lot of times we kind of miss that history, but I will say in my research, we are a little guilty of not documenting in the way that we need to be documenting. And so that's why this book is so important, because here we get to hear these stories. And I'm sure as queens, we met a lot of older queens and they told us some amazing stories. I remember one queen at TSU told me that, she said, "Did you know that I'm an identical twin, and my sister and I, we both ran for the position and they couldn't stop us because we're identical twins?" I mean, this is a part of our history, and this is the things that we need to know, the uniqueness of these positions. We don't look alike, we don't act alike, we don't have the same personality, we don't fit in a box. So these are the things that I just kind of want to talk about the HBCU Queen. I want to mention that I can't not mention what Ebony Magazine, especially with the state of where Ebony is now. I do want to pay homage to them because they really made us even more of a national phenomenon. They kind of like connected all the dots by annually putting the HBCU Queen in their magazine every year, and they still do that. They're doing that online, and they still do this. And this is, again, a part of our culture. But when you go back and you look at those old photos, you can kind of see the transition of the queens and things like that. So I may get a queen that says, I've no queen has ever looked like me. And I'll say, girl, go back and look at Ebony Magazine. You're in there. You are identified. And that's so important for our young people. So I want to pay homage to Ebony Magazine, because once Ebony began to publish the queens annually, more and more HBCUs that did not have queens began to create the position. So that's why you see, different, I was founded this year and I was founded that year. And so we have to go back and kind of look at our history and say that was important to the African-American community to get that Ebony Magazine, and your cousin, your sister, your friend was spotlighted in that magazine. And the last thing that I want to say about HBCU Kings and Queens is that these positions, they are so important in that these are the recruiters. These are the people who are doing public service. So you're not just learning leadership. You're not just learning social skills. You're not just learning simple things. You're learning how to be a recruiter for your university. And so that's why you will see when we get down to these 16 queens that are in this book, that most of them are very heavily involved in public service because they learned that as a queen. You can't be a queen if you're not a servant. And so you are a servant leader. You lead the people. I have not stopped being a queen since the day I became the queen. I have been serving, I mentor, I give back. And I learned the importance of that. And now more than ever before, our HBCUs need us. So again, I'm so proud of you guys. And I thank you for the opportunity to include Leadership for Queens. And of course, we host the HBCU Kings and Queens Conference. Next year is our 20th anniversary. I want to send shout outs to my co-founder, Anthony Jones, who is the founder of Kings Connection. And I want to thank my team because Dwight Pope, Giovanni Productions is sponsoring 2 books, and I know who the winners are, so I'm going to announce the winners. at the end. So I want to thank Gabby and Cambry and Cassandra and all the people that made the promotion and the competition a go. But I want to thank all of my volunteers because we're a nonprofit organization. And thank you so much. You guys are giving us the proceeds. Some of the proceeds come back to HBCU Queens so we can get all these schools who can't afford this training. We can get them to this conference because it's so important. Again, we thank you for the opportunity. I hope today that I shared some information with you that you did not know. If you are a queen out there, I advise you, I know you're sad because your year is a little, but get on the phone and call those old queens. Ask them what their experiences are, and you will see that you have tapped into something bigger than yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dale, and thank you for that. And just to piggyback what you said, if there are any queens watching, this is a different year for us, and your impact is going to look different than any of us on this screen participated in. So definitely stay connected, get a copy of the book, or even just call on the phone. You know that every queen from your university is willing and ready. It's who we are to just pour into you as much as possible. So thank you, Dale, for highlighting that for them, and our hearts are with you.
Thank you.
With that being said, we have the queens on the phone. We are ready to get started and hear who we have in the book. So you are going to hear stories from them. But first, let's hear who we have on the line before we hear a sneak peek of their chapters. So I'll just start off with Miss Livingstone College.
Good afternoon. I am Chelsea Johnson Muir, Miss Livingstone College 2008, 2009. I hail from Tallahassee and Midway, Florida, but it was at Salisbury, North Carolina, beneath thy maples and thy oaks that I reigned, I saw, and I conquered. I learned then what still holds true today. The founder and the first president of Livingstone College. I don't care how dark the night. I believe in the coming of the morning.
Ooh. Okay. Lawson State College, Jordan Watkins.
I am Jordan Watkins, representing Lawson State Community College. I was crowned 2016 through 17. I'm so happy to be here today, and I can't wait to talk about my contribution to this book.
Awesome, Jordan. We have 3 from Morris College. So, Aisha.
Hello, my name is Aisha Simmons. I was Miss Morris College 2006-2007. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I work for the Department of Veteran Affairs, and I am so excited to share my story of how I was molded into the woman that you see today by a village of amazing people. And again, I hold truth to the Morris College model, enter to learn and depart to serve. Miss Morris College 2006-2007.
All right, Shakara Parks. I see you hyping your fellow Miss Morris College up, so let's hear from you.
Hello, everyone. I am Shakara Parks. I hail from the Pineville, South Carolina, which I reside now in Summerville. I was Miss Morris College 2009-2010. I am the best choreographer in the land. Yes, I spoke it. Yes, I am the best choreographer in the land. And I would love to share with you guys that Morris College is the college to go to. Yes, my HBCU. Moco, stand up.
Okay. One more Morris College because you all are here for it. Miss Lakeel Mason.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lakeel Mason. I am from Atlanta, Georgia. I am a proud graduate of Morris College. I was crowned the 63rd Miss Morris College, the last queen to serve under the longest HBCU president in the nation, Dr. Luncy Richardson. May he continue to rest in peace. I was crowned in 2016, 2017, and I am excited to share my story with you all, along with these other beautiful queens.
Awesome. Thank you. We have representation from Stillman College.
Good afternoon. I am Jessica Nathan Brown, a native and current resident of Birmingham, Alabama. I attended Stillman College, where I served as Miss Stillman 2012-2013, and I graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology. And I'm a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and I am so honored to be a part of this project and to represent my HBCU, Stillman College.
All right, so as you all know, it is not a bias here, but North Carolina A&T, we have co-founders at the vision. So North Carolina A&T is in the book, and we are going to start off with the 70s. We have Miss Deborah Richardson Price. Hold on really quick, Deborah.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, Aggie Pride to everyone. My name is Debbie Richardson Price. I reigned in 1977, 78, but the beginning of my journey was in 1974. Yes, almost 50 years and still standing. My burn for A&T has not changed in the least. Around the 70s and the 60s, of course, the civil rights era was strong. So it would be remiss of me not to recognize John Lewis, not only as being an icon, but also as being a friend. So I did want to acknowledge that because you never know whose path who you're going to pass while you're in your path. But before we get into the depth of my story, I would like to dedicate my story to my family, specifically my mother, my daughter, my sister, and my niece, as they are also Aggies. They're part of the Aggie family. And most importantly, I'd also like to recognize the cheerleading squads of the 70s. Aggie Pride.
All right. Thank you, Debbie. We look forward to hearing from you, and thank you for that acknowledgement. I think all of us really appreciate that space given today. We have Stephanie Tidwell.
Good afternoon, and Aggie Pride. I was served as Miss A&T 1986-87. I look forward to sharing my story, but I'm also proud to announce that, just like Debbie, I come from a legacy of Aggie. So Aggie Pride, I'm that true Aggie born, Aggie bred, and when I die, I'll be Aggie dead, because I was raised basically knowing that the only place I could attend school would be North Carolina A&T State University, and walking the campus afforded me many opportunities. The most important, I would say, was to serve as Miss A&T.
Awesome. And Nicole Watlington.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Watlington. I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. I represent the university where 4 young men sat down to take a stand. And I was your Miss North Carolina A&T State University 2000-2001.
Awesome. Okay, we have Texas Southern University.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shartajieh Taji Wright. I served as Miss Texas Southern University 2011-2012. I am the only queen representing the SWAC conference in Houston, Texas. As we know, we will continue to be the queens that we are, and I am the edu advocate. I want to continue to lift up and recognize our dear Thomas F. Freeman, who has served Texas Southern University from 1949 to 2020. And we know his spirit has constantly uplifted our great debate team. As we know, what we do well. What we don't do well, we don't do at all. All right, Tiger Nation.
All right. And what we're doing, we have heard from North Carolina A&T, but within this book, just so that you all know, there is a lead author. And that role of lead author not only serves as a portion to really assist the visionary author along the way, but getting things, all the queens contributed very much so, but our lead author also assisted with putting this together and is a huge intricate part. So we're gonna have a final welcome and introduction from Miss Bridget Herring-Williams.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Bridget Herring-Williams, and I represented the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, 1997-98. Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride. All right. So here's what we've been waiting for. We want a sneak peek. Anyone who's already interested, you heard the introductions, you are able to purchase a copy from Amazon of the book, as well as from the HBCU Experience Movement website. Before we get into the discussion, I am Carla Janelle Saunders Ricks. I served as Miss North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University 2010-2011 and am a proud initiate into the Alpha Mu chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated in 2009. So I'm excited to be here. We have nothing but excellence on the screen. Let's go back to Miss Debbie Price. I'm gonna unmute you. And Debbie, if you wouldn't mind sharing us a snippet from your chapter, something we can look forward to reading once we get it.
I'd be honored to, Carla, as well as the Queens and the audience. Before I read the snippet, I did want to say that this was one of the most challenging assignments that I've ever had, okay? Because it's raw and it's real. And I pray that something in my story is going to impact the readers, as well as I'm sure all of us are. But here we go. 46 years ago, my mother drove down to North Carolina A&T State University campus. She helped set up my dorm room, and then left me standing in the high-rise dormitory parking lot. My father wasn't able to attend the trip with me because he was stationed in Thailand at the time. Before leaving, she whispered these words in my ear. Now your journey begins. Trust in your walk and you'll be okay. I didn't quite understand what she meant, but now I do. I didn't realize what lied ahead for me on my path or what direction this journey would take. I had the power to make my own decisions, hold myself accountable for my actions moving forward. With my parents' words in the back of my mind, strive, do your best, and just be. I had a new outlook on how I would approach my college experience. Initially, the journey was rough because I didn't know anyone, nor did I know what to expect, and had little if no money. I had no clue who my roommate was going to be, didn't know which way to go or how to get there. This was my first experience in truly being on my own. Like a typical freshman, I experienced the highs and the lows, partying, socializing, and trying to figure out this whole class scheduling thing. I wasn't trying to navigate my own space in a place that felt so large and overwhelming. I quickly found myself going in a direction that was not the path that I wanted to be on. I wasn't performing to the best of my abilities and ended up in academic trouble. I felt like I was letting myself down, but more importantly, the people that believed in me. I especially remembered the shock of my first GPA, and this was a 1.98. But what struck me most importantly was the look of this disappointment on my mother's face when she saw that GPA. In that moment, I knew something had to change. I had to make a decision, and that was do what it takes to make it or fail and go home. Needless to say, I got my second chance to get things right. So it's in the beginning, but bottom line, it's about decisions. And read my story so you can see what happened as we move forward on our path.
Deborah, I don't think I was expecting that, being that it's a Queen's book. So I was expecting something from your reign, but that seemed like you were really hitting us early on in your HBCU experience. Can you tell us why you picked that snippet to read today?
Yeah. To be honest, I was really pondering putting that in this book, but I had to be real. Just like Dale had indicated in the beginning, it starts somewhere, and it started in the beginning. There's people in your life that are going to plant seeds in your life. You never understand at the time when they're planted what it means, or as you're taking your journey, who is going to help to mold you. As you read my story, you're going to see that I had to go from my freshman year to my senior year, because my reign represented not just what happened my senior year, but everyone that crossed my path. The students, the professors, the teachers, my community, my friends, everyone planting seeds in my life that made a difference. So when I talk about the reign that senior year, you will understand why. I'm sorry. For the students to give me the honor to represent them. They saw something in me that maybe I didn't see at the time. What they saw and what they trusted me to do was not only represent the student body, excuse me, but they entrusted me to hold and carry the legacy, not only of those students that were there at the campus, that those that graduated, and also to be the voice, of those that are no longer standing. You see, because when we talk about Aggie pride, that pride is so deep. See, we witnessed the pride. We witnessed the pride of those bullets in the Scott wall. We witnessed the pride of the blood stains that were on the sidewalks. We witnessed the pride of those parents that gave their last, that enabled us to come to A&T and to stand on the grounds and say, yes, we support you. When we couldn't get there, we believed in you to cross that gate, to stand. We believed in you. I'm sorry, I get very emotional, because what we as queens, not only from A&T hold, you will also hear me talk about the HBCU why. See, the purpose of the HBCU why, which is what Dale was alluding to, is that for those doors that were closed to minorities in other universities, HBCUs opened their doors, enabling us to have access to those things that we couldn't have. You see, we can talk about each other because we sit in different pews. But one thing that is unique is that even though the pews are different, but we're under the same church. So as I know I'm talking long, and I apologize for taking any extra time, but this runs deep. It runs deep. And I'm so proud of these young ladies. I'm sitting here representing the 70s. Yes, the one thing that we did proudly as we raised our fist, we understood what the power of the voices meant and what it represented. And each of these beautiful ladies and men that have crossed the gates of their respective HBCUs, I honor you. Continue to walk and be. You will never know who's waiting at the other end, but understand, you will never, ever be walking alone. But it starts with the first step. And that's why I chose my beginning.
Well, Debbie, you see how the queen's clapping, because we hear you and we feel you and we understand it. That's so huge. It's about that entire experience, not just that year, not just the moment you're crowned. It's that entire HBCU experience. That's why it's named what it's named, I'm sure. But Debbie, can you share with us one thing? I know personally, since your daughter is my line sister, and when I decided to run for Miss A&T, she said, you have to talk to my mom. And that's just how we do as queens. So I called you up and you told me many stories of how you all got down in the 70s and what I needed to do. It was an amazing experience. Can you share with us at least one accomplishment or even your biggest accomplishment as queen, just to give people a taste?
Oh my gosh. There's so many great things that happened during my reign, and oh my God. I mean, giving back to you guys means the world. It means the world. But to this day, the day I would talk about the day that I found out I was Miss A&T. I was walking up the walkway, from the cafeteria, and at the time I was Miss Omega Psi Phi, representing the Mu Psi chapter, the purple and gold. And as I was walking past that plot during the date of the election, what was so special about that day was I was finishing a baseball game and I had dirt all over me, my cleats, carrying my back, just dirty. I just came from a game. We won. I did want to mention that. But as I passed the Omega plot, everybody burst out of everywhere. I mean, it was so surreal. It was so real. And they just kept saying, "You won, you won." And I was so humbled because the love that was shared for me that day, it was an accumulation of all of the students, all of the faculty, all of the love. And at that particular time, I promised myself I would give them something that they will never forget from me, from the SGA, from just to be thankful and honored to carry that title on behalf of A&T State University. And what did we do at our coronation? At my coronation, I'm sorry, I felt like it was our collective coronations, but at that particular coronation, their gift was a live concert, and their gift was Melba Moore. It was legal. It was legal, but it was a surprise. And I think that stands to this day, a live concert during coronation.
And that's what I needed everyone to hear about. When the students give that love, what it does, and it ignites inside of you to be able to do, it's a trickle effect. And it doesn't have to be a queen to have a servant heart. It's just the energies that we have in HBCUs do that. And you do that in your own respective way. So thank you so much for sharing, Debbie. And we definitely look forward to reading your chapter. At this point, let's move it back over to Shartae.
Hello, everyone. Miss Debbie, thank you so much for just taking out the time to share that. My soror, I love you. Thank you. That was very, very, very touching. I can share a snippet of my chapter. 2 years prior to winning the title, I came across someone who seemed to only limit their impact to the title alone. One afternoon, after a Student Government Association meeting, I met the reigning Miss Texas Southern University. And ironically, that's exactly how she introduced herself. The tall, slender, well-dressed woman extended her hand and stated, "Hello, I'm Miss Texas Southern University." After a brief pause, I extended my hand and I asked, "Okay, so what's your name?" And although we joke about it today, at that moment, I noticed that the title could either give you an identity or give you a platform to activate your purpose. After my brief interaction with the Queen 2 years prior to my reign, I instantly thought, I can do this. The motivation to become Miss Texas Southern University was my newfound why as a recent transfer student.
Love that, love that, love that. So help us to understand, why was understanding your purpose rather than the title important to you during your reign as Miss Texas Southern University?
Absolutely, Carla. When I think about it, at that moment, I met her title. But when I wanted people to meet me, I wanted them to meet my purpose. I wanted them to really, truly feel why I was there, why was the importance for me to be a servant leader, to be the bridge builder, and to be able to communicate effectively, both nationally and internationally. And I would say that knowing and understanding that, I didn't know, I had no clue of what I'm doing right now. But I knew then that that role prepared me in so many ways. And as Ms. Deborah mentioned, our universities pour into us in such a delicate way to give us that ability to have grit and to move forward and to carry the weight of that crown and to smile even when you feel down and to continue to move forward in purpose, because that's the only way that you're able to be truly successful, is if you really understand why you are there and why Texas Southern University was for me.
All right. Well, could you help us know if your purpose transcended your reign now as an alum?
It really has. I would say, I always tell this story, how when I went and I competed for the national competition for Queens, and how I went in and just bombed that interview. I was shaking, my voice was shattering. My voice is naturally kind of soft. And so at that moment, I didn't have the confidence. So I was a strong Black woman, but I wasn't the strong Black woman that a lot of people wanted the HBCU queen to be in that room. However, transcending into now, when I had that experience, I've been able to go inside of boardrooms. I've been able to go inside of rooms where the rooms that I know and I feel that I belong there. I've been at TSU where they've cultivated and they've supported me. And now I'm able to truly be that Proverbs 31 woman, that woman who's able to have many gifts, who's able to go and serve the community, who's able to go and be financially astute. The woman who's willing to be that advocate for people who cannot necessarily speak for themselves. But if I have a seat at that table, I'm going to advocate for that individual. Everything that I've been through at TSU has really, truly taught me and thickened my skin. And it allows me today to be a great representation for my university and what it's done for me.
Well, we certainly appreciate you sharing with us. Your spirit definitely leads anything that you say out of your mouth. You just have that presence about you, and that carries. And that's so important for all of us when we're trying to make that impact. So we appreciate your voice and your pleasantry, as well as that confidence that you bring to us now. So with that, I would like us to transfer over to Miss Morris College with LaKeel Mason, hear a little bit more about her chapter and just really embodying our authentic selves and whoever we are, just how the rain kind of helps to bring out who we are. But LaKeel, if you want to share some of your snippet with us.
All righty. Here's a snippet from my, I'm sorry. Here's a snippet from my chapter. One thing I learned about myself during my reign as Miss Morris College is to never seek perfection. No matter what pedestal you are put on, a perfect person does not exist. Rule number one in life, always show up as your authentic self. Some people will like you for who you are, and others won't. Either way, that's okay.
Short, simple, authentic. Tell us more about you. What embodies your authentic self? What did you realize during your reign or now that embodies you? Tell us more about you and how important that is to really be in tune with it.
Well, as a queen or being in a leadership position, people expect perfect. I know all of the queens can relate, it's like you have to be perfect. You can't be anything else as a queen, which isn't true because at the end of the day, we're human first. So just being yourself, I think being yourself is everything, that's what will get you through the door. That's what draws people to you. That's what draws admiration. So, just being yourself, we make mistakes, we learn from them, and we grow, So during my reign, I felt like I had to be perfect because everyone was watching me. Being that school representation, representing my school, the students at the school, the staff. It was, it was quite a challenge for me, because I was a non-traditional queen. I played sports, so they're seeing me, in practice during games, a completely different person as I would be at an assembly, during coordination. So they saw both sides of me, but at the end of the day, it was, I could do no wrong. And I think that put a lot of pressure on me at the time. So I just stress the importance of just be yourself, no matter what.
Could you share with us what sport you played?
So initially I attended Morris College on a basketball scholarship. And one thing with me, as I grew up, I've been playing basketball. I started playing basketball when I was about 7 or 8 years old. Played throughout my life. So when I wasn't playing basketball, I had to find another sport to play to keep me busy until basketball season came up. So I started playing basketball at Morris College. Then I played volleyball to keep me busy. And then I added cross country. This was my first time ever running cross country. And I actually started to like that more than basketball. And then one year I played softball. So every sport I've played at Morris College, I grew up playing. Cross country was the first sport that I participated in, which was in college. So.
Well, I know we have some other athletes here, Chelsea, and we had Debbie, and so probably more, but do you have any advice to athletes that feel like, hey, I don't fit the mold because I'm an athlete and I don't want to transition between assembly and that? Do you have any advice to someone who's thinking about not running because of that?
Don't let that stop you. I didn't think I was going to win because I was an athlete. So I would just say go for it. Don't let that stop you from, accomplishing your dreams and who you want to be.
Well, thank you so much. And I think people will be very amazed to see that it's not just an athlete, but it can be any range of things that can make you kind of pause and say, is this for me? Am I really? And what you'll honestly find, every queen really thought, not me, regardless of what you see on that day and when that crown is there. So we're going to go over to Nicole, if she would, and share with us a little snippet from her chapter for us to hear more about what that transition looks like.
Thank you. And I've enjoyed hearing all of the other queens so far. So my chapter is entitled Go Big. For so long, I played it safe. I accepted challenges I knew I could and would win. In the past, I sought challenges that did not test me. Nevertheless, making a decision to run for the title of Miss North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University was up to that moment the most frightening decision I had made. I considered everything that could go wrong. What if I lose? What if no one votes for me? What if people laugh at my efforts? But then something happened. I became weary of thinking about all the things that could go wrong. Simultaneously, I began thinking about all the things that could go right. There comes a time in life when we know it's time to mature. In order to do so, we must step outside our comfort zones. We've been disillusioned to believe comfort zones feel good. When we think of the word comfort, we think of things that feel good, such as cozy blankets, romantic movies, great food, etc. We know things that we like. However, comfort zone is synonymous with the word familiar. Even if it does not feel good, it is still comfortable. It is comfortable because we know what to expect. Whether it be good or bad, we know what to expect.
All right, comfort zones. This is not just for queens. This is for everybody. All of us up to this day can apply that to our lives, that there are things that we're uncomfortable about and making that actual leap. So Nicole, help us to understand, how did you make that transition? What was it that helped you to stop thinking about what could go wrong and then go right? Like what did you do in that moment to transition your thought process? Because I think that's the first step of stepping out of our comfort zones, is kind of like getting that paradigm shift going? What did you do?
Well, there are so many things that we have goals to do and things that we can do. However, fear can hold us back from doing that. And so it's all about mindset, and that's where it starts. You have to actually believe that you can and actually see yourself doing it in order to that's in order to take the first step to actually start the process. So that's exactly what I did is I started thinking about the positive things. There's a quote, and I cannot remember who said it at this moment, but it's, what if I fall? But it's, oh, darling, what if I fly? So you have to think about that side of it.
Is there any advice you would give to anyone who is dealing with the fear about making a decision such as that, or just not even running for office, but they're listening right now? They've kind of been on the fence about it. They don't know whether they should. They told themselves and made all the logical reasons that's why it shouldn't. Do you have any specific additional advice for them?
Well, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel fear, but you have to feel the fear and do it anyway. So acknowledge that you're scared, acknowledge that you feel it, but go ahead and do it.
We super appreciate that. And thank you so much for sharing. That is extremely true when it comes to fear and just stepping out. You got to do it. Mm-hmm. So right now we're going to move back to, we're still in North Carolina. We're going to speak with Miss Chelsea Johnson-Muir. Hear a little bit of her snippet.
How you doing? First, great job to all my queens that have gone already. I'm super pumped from what you all have said. But a bit of a snippet from my chapter. 1 month before the deadline to enter the Miss Livingstone College race, I was playing in a basketball game. The next thing I remembered was being transported to the hospital by ambulance. A junior guard for the women's basketball team, healthy and extremely fit, I would have never imagined that something could be wrong with me. After being transported to the emergency room and released later that night, I began experiencing migraines daily. Seeking medical treatment became a consistent activity that I had to endure, searching for answers that I thought would never come. After weeks of continuous testing, I was admitted into the hospital for exploratory procedures. After a few days, a doctor came in the room to tell me that a scan revealed that I had a brain aneurysm. A choice is defined as an act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities. The choice I had was to select an operation which had several negative side effects, or choose the watch and wait approach while continuing to take medication. Neither of these choices were ideal, nor were they something that anyone should ever have to choose. However, one thing I learned that day was that in the midst of adversity, you discover who you truly are. Not only does adversity reveal strength, but it also places many things in perspective. I had contemplated running for Miss Livingstone College, and I heard many of my peers suggest just the same. However, it wasn't until that moment when doctors and family asked me what my choice was medically that I understood what my purpose was spiritually.
Whew, bestsellers. They're bestsellers for a reason. You have to go get your book at Amazon so you can hear the rest. Now, Chelsea.
Yes, ma'am.
Help us understand how, okay, for me, it was a lot to divulge, and I want to ask you ultimately your medical decision, but how in the midst of that adversity, what was it that allowed you to say, I want to be, or I know that Miss Livingstone College is for me, in the midst of trying to decide a very medical decision? Like, how did that help us understand?
You know, it's so funny. They tell you all the time that God is always trying to talk to you, but sometimes he has to lay you on your back for you to look up. And that was one of those scenarios. You know, raising up into my senior year, people had started saying different things like, Chelsea, we think you'd be a great leader for us. You know, and I was thinking more so in the SGA route, you know, and then a couple of my friends past Miss Livingstone colleges that I still hold, you know, true and close to me today. You know, I've watched what they've done, and I realized that at the end of the day, much like Lakil said, the only person that can define what a queen is you. And it kept tugging at me and tugging at me and tugging at me. And of course, naturally, in the point while I was in that, I didn't know that's what God was trying to show me. I didn't know, but in order for him to get to speak to you sometimes, and I always joke about, I'm like that should have had a V8 commercial. He really has to give it to me, you know, and I didn't want to be sick, but it was in that hospital room. And you know, sometimes we get so down that you have no way and no other thing to do but look up. And in that moment, God said, I called you for such a time as this. And I prepared you for such a time as this. So if I brought you to it, I'll bring you through it.
Chelsea, you might not know, but I attended your coronation.
Wow.
Yeah, but I did attend your coronation, and it's something about it that the campus, they select their queens. Dr. Rashid always told us they choose their queen, and they chose you. And I just want to use your experience as an opportunity for anybody tuning in right now. COVID-19 is a different situation for all of us, and all of us are really trying to cope with a new normal, etc. So sometimes I think, Chelsea, your story can be such an inspiration to the uncontrollable, unforeseen circumstances we have, or sometimes those opportunities just to show us who we truly are and what he has for us. So thank you for sharing something so vulnerable. But I do have the question, just in case anybody else was wondering, like I am, what did you decide medically?
Medically, I decided to wait. There were a couple of things, you know, because of, like I said, those negative side effects. And where it was positioned, I decided to wait and treat it, and my family as well, who has always been a strong support system. You know, as people always say, I had a praying grandmother and mother. I did, and as time progressed, and not prolong the time, but when you go through tests, therefore your testimony, and not to prolong the time, but we waited for years and years. And when I graduated and moved back to Tallahassee, Florida, we started seeing other specialists. And as we prepared for surgery, just to make this short, and we did some pre-op scans. By his stripes, I was healed. It took 3 surgeons to come in, and they didn't see a trace of anything. So I'm here to tell you that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask. And it's not about who you are, it's who you choose to call your God and your Savior, and he'll take you through anything. So if you remember from my coronation, the song I entered in, Enlarge My Territory, I never realized that it would mean this, you know, 10 years later, but God has a plan. And I've always told him, if you heal me, I'll be your mouthpiece. And I will strive to do that every day. So I thank you all for the opportunity, and that's my blessing, and that's my testimony.
Wow. We're gonna have to get together after COVID, because
my pleasure.
Please, Dale, she starts dancing every time somebody says something. She does a little bit of stuff. Debbie is having praise breaks. So yes, we will have to get together in person.
Absolutely.
After this. Good gracious. Thank you so much for that, Chelsea.
Oh, thank you.
One of the key words you said was healing. Look, Debbie's still dancing. So healing.
So see you, Miss Deborah.
And Miss Jordan Watkins has a perspective about healing that we would love to just hear a little bit more from her chapter.
Yes, of course. Definitely to Chelsea, I have chills, so that was honestly so great. My chapter I'm going to be reading from my phone. So it starts out saying, in the midst of higher expectations being placed upon me, there was an added sense of consciousness to everything that I did. A consciousness to continue to provide wholeness, healing, and opportunities to those who needed it most. We've all heard the quote, hurt people. Alternatively, healing people heal people. I saw this role as an opportunity to speak to those who have been ignored, respect those who have been disrespected, and honor those who didn't feel honorable. I wanted to enhance the law of addition, which states the best way to add value is by serving others, seeking always to do good somewhere, and assisting others in becoming the person they were meant to be. The desire I possessed to add value pushed me not only to be a student leader, but to be a mature leader who first listened, learned, and then led.
All right, Miss Jordan. So yeah, that snippet, what sticks out, I always hear hurt people, but the healing people, heal people really stuck. So if you could just expand on that concept, when was that introduced to you, or how it was introduced to you? How is that something that lives within you, and just that concept period is so strong?
Yeah, I guess something for me that's always been a soft spot personally is my grandmother. So growing up, I used to just always loved to be around her presence, whether she was like cooking or whatever the case was. Whenever I needed to run away or go somewhere, I was always at her place. And so one of the rooms was kind of like my designated room that I would just kind of go into. But just being around her and hearing her story, I think going back to like what Deborah said, understanding the history that lies within who we are as individuals, just hearing her story and how she grew up and the hardships that she went through and the opportunities that she didn't have, and how she's able to sit back and watch us and kind of live through her grandchildren. It allowed me to just want to continue to keep pushing. Even with growing up in church, I think something for me that really stood out is, you know, my grandmother didn't really have a lot, but given the opportunities that I have, we really have to be careful in the ways in which we treat people. Because if we're not careful, we can go out and say things about someone who has a certain trait or characteristic as someone in our family from the past.
That is very true, and it's very good to be in tune with that. And thanks for sharing the piece about your grandmother. Just because you mentioned her, and I know that grandparents serve as such a huge portion in all of our lives, or some, they have a different role, but in the African American community, they usually do have a prominent influence. Did she have any other influences that inspire you that you feel that you use today? Or was there any specific thing or story that you had with her that you feel like helps influence this mantra, the law of addition and the healing that you live by today?
Yeah, I guess just going that extra mile to be a servant leader, kind of like with the role of being in queendom is, you know, if you're not willing to serve, then you shouldn't raise your hand to be in any leadership position. So I think for me, I used to always just watch as she served with anything that she had. And for me, that's what made her a true leader and queen.
Well, we appreciate you, and we appreciate the legacy that you represent from her and sharing your portion.
Yeah, so thank you.
This point, as we think about legacy, we heard a former Miss North Carolina A&T, Stephanie, mention that HBCU's A&T was her, that's only what she knew. So I would love to hear from Stephanie at this time, a little snippet from her chapter and a little bit about what her experience was like.
Sure, thank you. So I will never forget the feeling of being on campus that August, walking the yard and meeting new people at every turn. We walked in droves many times, learning a little history every step of the way and meeting new classmates along the way. Many times only to discover that our parents were former classmates. Immediate bonds formed as you realized that you were standing on royal ground. Then when we met the campus royalty, the SGA president, and Miss A&T, at that point, we realized the significance and tightness of the community we were joining. We realized that being an Aggie was a real blessing. As a student at such a historical university, we enjoyed all that attending A&T had to offer: the step shows, the homecomings, the concerts, and the assemblies. But we also joined forces with folks of like mind. We mobilized and joined organizations that had purpose and sought to make a positive change because there was a feeling that just boiled up inside you, letting you know you had a responsibility to those before you. You felt that obligation to use your life to make an impact. Just as my parents talked to us as children about their professors having an impact on their lives, I have to tell you, the professors in the economics department made an impact on me. Dr. Simmons, Dr. Coley, Dr. Zhang, Dr. Obeng helped me to understand the world through the lens of an economist. Then there was Dr. Wayman McLaughlin in the humanities department. What an impact he made on me. He was a great thinker who fostered thought and moved you to act. My professors didn't just teach you about your coursework. They talk to you about social unrest, unjust situations, history, and your call to action. I'll never forget Dr. Simmons explaining that his father's will to vote, and he was being asked to count how many bubbles in a bar of soap. Their story served a purpose. Our professors let us know that they had high expectations of us on the career front and in the work towards social injustice. So yes, when a small group of KKK members decided they wanted to march through A&T's campus, we met them face to face. In 1987, when there was civil unrest in Forsyth County, Georgia, as Miss A&T, a member of the Student Government Association, you boarded the bus and went to confront the injustice. Serving as Miss A&T meant that you knew your role was not just that of campus figurehead called to speak at university events. I had to do more than represent the university across the city, state, or nation. As Miss A&T, I understood that I was, I was setting an example for others. I was given a platform by the student population to be the voice, speak up, and speak out. Then one day, campus life comes to an end. You set your sights on representing Aggie greatness and the university in your newfound role of graduate. Quickly, you realize that the lessons from the yard are still with you. You recognize that the experiences you had prepared you well. You continue to be that example as you grow into an adult with lived experiences.
Stephanie, you gave us a lot. You gave us so much. But one of the things that I really like, I know it's just so many things with civil unrest and our obligation as queens to have a voice, and it lines up right what Jordan was saying earlier about our obligation to be able to speak for those who may not even know how to. I remember coming in my freshman year, Dave Street, student body president at the time, they had a bus going down for the Gen of 6. That was huge. A&T, we're going to be gerrymandering when elections are happening. We are making sure things are happening. So can you, as Dale stated earlier, the history is sometimes, it's just not all in one spot. So take us back to one of those experiences just a little bit, whether it's you all coming face to face with KKK members on campus or the Forsyth County incident. Like, we would love to hear a little bit more about that.
So actually, I'll never forget when the KKK members, when the university found out that the KKK members planned on marching through campus, they were actually encouraging students not to be anywhere on campus, not to be present. But then there's always that group that wants to, not necessarily, I won't say not listen, but your passion forces you to move. So what we thought was going to be a very large number of members ended up being enough for us to basically surround them in a circle. And I just remember standing there as that time it was the president spoke, and we all just stood there in silence, just letting his voice be heard, but letting them know that everybody that stood there was standing in solidarity to their acts and their actions. And then, Forsyth County was, I actually still laugh with a girlfriend to this day because I actually cried getting on that bus because we didn't know what was going to confront us or meet us when we got to Georgia. And so, but we knew we had to go. Like, you could not go. You knew you had to go. And so it was a bus ride, I remember, of prayers and singing and collegial A&T Aggie prides and joking. But when we got to Georgia, and actually at the time, whether many of you know or not, my classmates are Jesse Jr. and Jonathan Jackson. And so they were spearheading that bus ride. along with some of our other Aggie friends. And we get to Georgia, and of course, there's Jesse Jackson Sr. and other politicians. And so you recognize that the fear that you were experiencing or that you had, there's no need to have any fear, because you've got folks who've been walking this path for a long time. And if they were capable of doing it and they're still here today to walk the path, then you know what, put the tears away, stick your chest out, say your Aggie prides, and let's get this march going. And that's basically what it was.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that, Stephanie. We needed that. This is live history and we're able to relive it in the moment. It's necessary in these times, and nothing has changed. What was necessary then, as Nicole was stating, having that fear but doing it anyways, that's the only way we'll be able to continue to move forward. But I just want to ask you one more question as far as that role of Miss A&T, giving you that platform, and you're helping us to visualize that ability to speak up and speak out. How does that transcend into what you do today, and how do you see that come up in different areas now?
So actually, how it transcends into what I do today, currently I serve as an educator, but a district educator. And the district that I work in is a suburban district, but they've recognized that they have some issues as it relates to equity. And I was basically hired in the capacity of supervising the district's math department and business department. And just most recently, as a matter of fact, this morning, I was just talking to someone who I have an interest in hiring, who's had some interest, apprehension about a move, making the move. And I had to express to her, because she's a person of color, what an impact she would have on the district by just bringing her talents to the district, because of the fact that she has experiences that not only does she need to understand that there are children in suburban areas that look just like her that need to see a face standing in front of them, but that she could also impact others who may have been so sheltered that they have never had to experience anyone like her. So that she had so much to give, not just the students, but the entire community, because of her, the life that she's lived, the work that she's done. And so I've always been that kind of person that you can't try to make me fit into that hole. That's, if I could be the square peg, I'm not going in that hole. I am not the person that follows others. I remember I would say that, I think I was a little different, Miss A&T, because while others would be walking across campus that I, dressed in their most essential attire, I'd be the one with the ripped jeans, and I made sure I cut the jeans that they had, so they were a little, they're a little shredded a little bit, but I was determined to just continue to maintain me and who I was. But when I was called to act on behalf of the university or the student body and be that advocate, it did not minimize the voice that I knew I needed to be. So I maintained being me, because that was important to me. But I also knew that I was given this platform because basically they were saying, we are entrusting you to speak on our behalf. And that's what I did when needed. And that's what I do today. If someone needs me to speak on their behalf, I'm the one who's strategically saying, okay, this is how we're going to accomplish this. This is how we're going to do this. This is the moves. These are the moves we're going to make, but we're going to make the change.
Yes, for sure. And we even experienced that within this sisterhood alone, how you carry equity with you. But I think that consistent theme, regardless, is that yes, we are queens, and the individuals on our campuses saw something in us. However, when you're even thinking about equity, it's changing your mindset to know that you are enough. You bringing yourself to the table is it. And we're just that example to empower you to be your authentic self and do the same. So with that, let's take it back to Miss Morris College. with Shakara Parks and hear a snippet from her chapter.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so this is the snippet I chose. It was kind of hard, but I went with this one. I want to leave this with anyone who ever thought about giving up after a loss. Sometimes our lives are set up like a GPS. We set our destination to the place we would like to go, but what we do not realize is that there may be roadblocks, red lights, stop signs, and alternate routes we did not anticipate on the journey ahead. No matter what it looks like, we must continue to follow our life map and listen to our inner voices that says, take the road to success. Never give up. Make a U-turn. In 2.5 miles, continue praying. Failure up ahead. Keep watch of life's speed bump that might try to slow you down. Even while in traffic, you must ask God for patience, no matter how long you must sit in it. That's my snippet.
That's good. It's definitely giving us that real view and roadmap of life. And we have our vision of what we want, but then something comes and changes that. So Shakara, could you share with us a roadblock or a stop sign or one of these bumps that you've experienced and have been able to overcome either as queen or currently in life?
So I can honestly say that I have had a lot of roadblocks. And let's just say the one that changed my life was back in 2017 when I was diagnosed with sepsis. I was in the hospital alone with one of my best friends, and the doctors is on the phone with my mom and dad telling them that your daughter isn't going to make it. And I'm like, how can y'all just give up on me? Like, what's going on? So I didn't even know what the term sepsis was, but I am a firm believer today that God has a purpose for me. Thank you, Chelsea, for your testimony, because we all have a purpose in life. And it just seemed like the road after 2017, here it is, my mom is diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis. Never heard of these things. And here it is again. Shakira has to stop everything. I took care of my mom, and needless to say, I did lose my mom due to pulmonary fibrosis in 2018. I had to close down my studio in 2019. In 2020, here due a pandemic, I had a devastating miscarriage. But today, may I stand? I will be 20 weeks pregnant on Monday. So I haven't gotten to my destination, but I got out of that traffic as I was sitting and thinking and meditating on what is it that God has for me. God had y'all for me. And I just want to thank y'all. I want to thank Ashley for even letting me be a part of this opportunity to even share my story, because a lot of people think they know your story, but they try to write your chapters. But let me say this and leave this with you today. God is the author of my book.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think the queens have changed this from experience to testimony. Somebody wrote in the chat. So yeah, I want to ask a follow-up, but I also am just really left with that. Like, you cannot, whatever anybody who is watching or going through, do not let that circumstance override your promise and what is truly destined for you and being your purpose. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For giving us that. Oh my goodness. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. I will go ahead and just ask you one more question, just because that was a lot. And I know you mentioned in your chapter, you had said prayer, and I heard that. Is there any other advice that you would have for someone to get through when they're in the midst of, or even right now, like what else do you do to get through all of those things back to back to back to back to back?
I honestly keep going. I know cars run off of gas, but my life run off of God. And I just can honestly say, if I didn't die February 24th, 2017, then I'm here for a reason. And once you get the book, you will see another major loss that took part in my life. I wasn't even going to run for Miss Morris College because I had lost, it was a devastating loss to me in the past when I found out that it was actually setting me up to another level. So I want to thank the high school that I even attended for allowing me to come back and choreograph the pageant that I did lose. And now here it is, my choreography career has taken off. I am now the national director of the Miss UNCF coordination and pageants. Who would have ever thought this person that was diagnosed with sepsis, this person that lost her mama to pulmonary fibrosis, this person that had a miscarriage, this person who people has tried to sabotage, this person who has had to bury people left and right, side to side, back to back, all the way around. Don't give up, because God has purpose for each and every one of us. And please, people, try not to write your chapter for someone else's chapter, because I can say this, everyone's chapter ends with a period, but everyone's beginning starts with a hello.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Once again, if you already don't know, the book is available on Amazon. We want to understand yet another loss that was overcome in that book on Amazon, and also at the HBCUexperiencemovement.com website. With that being said, one of the things Shakara mentioned was, you can't give up. If you know it's for you, you can't give up. So I'm going to go to Miss Stillman College and hear from Miss Jessica Nathan Brown a little bit about her snippet.
Yes, before I read this, I just want to say I am so inspired, empowered. Like, it really just gives me so much joy to be in the midst of Black girl magic. And that just does something to me. So just kudos to my sister queens, because this has been wonderful. So my snippet here is, fast forward to freshman year at Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where my classmates began signing up for the Miss Freshman competition, which took place during orientation week. I got excited about signing up, but then fear overcame me. So many thoughts ran through my head. Who's going to vote for me? I'm nervous to get up in front of people who I've only met a few days ago to perform a talent. I won't win. With these thoughts swarming around in my head, I did not sign up to participate. The crazy part is that I've always been a person to go after what I wanted, no matter if I won or lost. But I was so afraid to go after this. As I sat through the Miss Freshman competition a few days later, I kept questioning whether I'd made the right decision. Regardless, it was too late.
Once again, we have another Debbie. You've given us a little bit, but we are wanting to understand how in the world, all this doubt, all this fear, I didn't run for Miss Freshman, what transitioned in between freshman year, it's too late to run, into becoming the Miss Stillman College? What transition, what empowered you?
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. Like, I was one of those little girls that, Dale was talking about earlier, that was flipping through Ebony magazine, looking at those HBCU queens. And I was like, I want to go to an HBCU. That was the reason I wanted to go to an HBCU, and I wanted to be an HBCU queen. And so getting there, and seeing this opportunity to run for Miss Freshman, I was like, let's do it. But I just started second guessing myself, as Nicole talked about, that fear. And so many times, people see, especially us as Black women, they're like, oh, they're so strong and they're so confident. And, a lot of times on the inside, there's those insecurities and that self-doubt that holds you back a lot of times. And so from that experience, I learned that no matter what, I've got to go after what I want. And I knew that I wanted to be Miss Stillman. And even, as people read my chapter, when I talk about running for Miss Stillman, that self-doubt crept back in. Even though I still ran, I was still like, okay, I think I was good enough to get first or second runner-up. Like, I could not see myself winning in that moment. That fear and that doubt just kept coming in. But, something was down inside of me saying like, you got to do this, no matter if you win or if you lose. You have got to go after what it is that you want and try to reach your goals. And so that's what that experience of not running from Miss Freshman taught me, of like, you got to go after it. And so from then on, everything that I wanted to do, going out to, to become a member of Delta, to be in all these other student organizations, like I had to just go for it no matter what the outcome. And so, that's my hope that, people reading will get, is that like, no matter what, that fear and those insecurities say, like God's got you, your family's got you, your friends and your supporters, they've got your back, and you just have to go for it no matter what the result is. And so me going after it, I think, people saw that humility in me, and that I was a human. People get this notion that queens, this stereotype of, we're just perfect all the time, but we are human. And I think people saw that in me, and that's what helped me to become Miss Stillman.
Appreciate that so much, and appreciate you sharing. That is just an amazing snippet, and that's what it's all about. But we also do want one more sneak peek, just to know, what was one of your most enjoyable or favorite experiences as serving as Miss Stillman?
Oh, so many moments. I would say one of the most enjoyable moments for me had to be working with the Campus Queens Association. For me, it wasn't just about me. It was about all those campus queens on campus, that whether they represented student organizations, the residence halls, whatever it was, I wanted all of us to enjoy the journey. And so the former Miss Stillman, the year prior to me, she really made it a point to make sure that all the campus queens were out there on campus, outside of coronation and outside of homecoming, and making sure that they were a part of campus. And I was a part of her quarter as a residence hall queen. So I did get that opportunity after not, running from Miss Freshman. And so I really just wanted to continue that legacy, the work that she has started, and working with them, whether it was, me being invited to come to Birmingham and crown some middle school students. I didn't go by myself. I said, okay, Queens, who wants to go with me? I took them with me. We got in a 15-passenger van and we drove to Birmingham together. Like, it was all of our experience. And for me, it was a team. And, without them, I couldn't do the work that I wanted to do without that support. And so for me, even, getting to our annual Student Excellence Awards, it was the first time in my 4 years that the Campus Queens Association had been nominated for an award, because they saw us as that student organization and those student leaders on campus. We didn't win, but that didn't matter. Like, just to be on the ballot, that was amazing for me. And to know that I was able to be a part of that, that was one of the most enjoyable experiences for me.
Well, definitely appreciate you sharing. I think we could go all day about not only that servant spirit that goes along with us, but the key word you mentioned so much is leadership. Servant leadership at the end of the day. And that's what Dale's organization really focuses on and helps to mold that. But it doesn't stop on campus. You can do it in corporate, you do it in your home, you do it in your sororities. It's just ever evolving. And yes, the lineage and the relationships between queens throughout the years and that sisterhood itself is always so impactful. So with that, we have a lineage of Miss Morris College in this book, and we're going to go to Aisha to hear a snippet from her chapter.
Hello again, everybody. Queens, much love to you all. Before I get started with a snippet from my chapter, I just have to pay homage to, I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Pi Theta chapter of Morris College. And my advisors, Ms. Wilder and Ms. Levy, they planted the seed in me that I should run for Miss Morris College. They saw something in me that I had no idea that was in me. So they ignited this flame. Okay, my snippet. My chapter is entitled, I Dream in Color. IDIC, I-D-I-C, I Dream in Color. I missed the school bus one afternoon of my senior year. While walking home, it seemed like the longest walk of my life. However, in that moment, I realized I was lost and filled with so much uncertainty. I was covered by what seemed to be a generational curse. Those before me could only give me what had been given to them. And that's my snippet.
All right. So IDIC, I Dream in Color. What is that? What does that mean to you?
I dream in color, just simply meaning that personally, the person that I am, it's almost like a canvas. Like an artist creates a painting, but he has something in mind and he puts different colors. And when the paintbrush hits the canvas, all of these people that crossed my paths that I came in life with, that crossed my journey, or I crossed their journey, and they planted a seed in me, or they spoke life into me. And what I probably wasn't getting at home, they, like my girlfriend, one of my friends from high school, and that's in my book as well, and their family took me in and created a safe haven for me in their home, or even my grandparents. And just how when an artist puts the painting on the canvas and he stands back and he looks at that painting, and it's actually a beautiful painting, but it's all these different colors all mixed in one, but just given that painting at the correct time. All these people just spoke life into me just when I needed it the most. And that's what IDEC means, I Dream in Color. Just being able to think outside the box. But most importantly, having a listening ear. Because people are gonna speak life into you, but you have to be able to receive it. You have to be able to take it in. And that's what's even most important. One of my aunts, and she always says this: slow to speak, quick to listen, slow to speak. And that's what's most important, not always having a final word. Like my mom used to say when I was growing up, you always got to have the last word. But that's what's most important. And IDEC, I Dream in Color.
That is very artistic and deep. And we appreciate you creating that image. And it's so true. And you're able to see what you're actually saying by that visual picture. So thank you for that. Just a follow-up question to you, as far as your reign in as Miss Morris College, what have you been doing differently since the start of your reign, and what could be encouragement to other young people that are about to embark on an HBCU journey?
What have I been doing differently? I probably would have to say I'm doing what someone did for me, making sure that when I come across even young people, my nieces, they bring their friends over. What are y'all doing? What's your plan? Have you started your FAFSA? You bring it over, I can help you get it filled out. Let's start looking at colleges. You can go to college, money doesn't matter. Like all those things that weren't told to me, that didn't prepare me, I make sure that I'm telling all these younger people when I meet them. You know what? What's your dream? What's your goal? What's your aspirations? And then when they actually enroll in school, I pop up. I show up. I come, I take them to lunch, see what's going on. What are you all doing? Are you active? Are you being sociable? Just touching and just making sure I just plant that seed, but help it to grow as well.
Absolutely. That is so funny. All of us have said it. I know everyone has said it. You don't stop being that queen. And I know your mentees are probably watching like, yeah, she does. You call me, we just don't stop. And it's so important because
I'm on campus.
Popping up. Okay. So that's great. And really appreciate you sharing and giving back what was given to you and more tenfold. I think that's what it's all about. So with that being said, we have heard from all but one, and we're going to hear one more. And with this story, we've been inspired. We've been told, we have to push through fears. We've heard different things and obstacles that people have worked through, but we want to hear a snippet from the behind the scenes of when you are in reign, what it is that the queen never stops fearing even though we're sharing this, we have the face, we got to be made up, whatever role it is, the fear doesn't go away, the worry doesn't go away. So we want to hear behind the scenes from an actual queen, and we're going to have Miss Bridget Herring-Williams share a snippet as well.
Wow, thank you so much, Carla. Ladies, this afternoon has been more than I could have ever dreamed that it was going to be. And I am so blessed and honored to be a part of this with all of you and to be a part of this platform. And this is extremely tough for me because to go after all of you all, I'm so excited to just read everyone's chapter. I cannot wait until we're off this call so that I can really just dive in, because I've been waiting until after today so that I could just truly get an opportunity to dive in. And so I'm really excited. Want to go into my snippet just a little bit with you. I will never forget the day I was crowned Miss A&T. It was October 30th, 1997. And although I was crowned at the coronation ceremony later in that evening, I had already become Miss A&T earlier in the day. You see, my ascension began after a breakdown that landed me on the floor, sobbing in front of my advisor, whom I always went to for sound advice and shared my challenges. Upon composing myself, I began to explain my uncommon hysteria to her. I explained that the purchase order for the bracelets I wanted for my court and myself had not been submitted. After staying up all night to make sure Corbett Sports Center was going to look perfect for the Queen's coronation that evening, all the rehearsals, the dress fittings, and no drama between the young ladies in my court, we were not going to have bracelets. This was not happening. The perfect day, the day I worked all summer to plan, was going to be ruined over bracelets. And I know you're reading, bracelets? Really? Are you serious? You were on the floor hyperventilating over jewelry? And to that, I say yes, but no.
Okay. Yes. Well, yes, we understand that that's what you were doing. You were hyperventilating over bracelets. So yes, we need to understand what you really were hyperventilating about. Help us. What is the no?
So really, I was a very engaged student leader. And my advisor, she had names for all of the queens, and her name for me was Queen Leader. And so I wanted to make sure that all the I's were dotted and all the T's were crossed, and that I was always organized and had things together. And so even this notion of running for Miss A&T and being Miss A&T wasn't anything that I really ever had considered. It was my friends that actually talked me in to running for Miss A&T, just like many of the stories that we've heard. And so it wasn't even a thought for me. And so this having everything together in terms of the way that it looked and being responsible for other people, it was the hyperventilating was really more of for me that day, it was physical, but really it's symbolic of the Black woman. And, us always wanting to nurture and take care of and make sure that everything is in place and that we're taking care of everyone around us, and those expectations that are placed on us. We want to be superwoman, and we want to make sure that we're making it happen for everyone. And so really that's what the bracelets represented. It really wasn't about the bracelets. It wasn't about the bracelets at all. I think it was just the perfection and the expectations that I had placed on myself, and which I had allowed others to also place on me. And that was shared earlier in this afternoon, that people tend to forget that the queen, she's human first, and that there is no such thing as perfect, and that we have the opportunity, we mess up, we have every day, we at night, we go to bed, we get up in the morning and we ask God for an opportunity. If he wakes us up the next day, give us the opportunity to be better than what we were and who we were the day before. And so it was really, truly about those expectations in which I had placed, symbolically on myself.
And that is something that everyone on this call can probably relate with, as well as everybody watching right now. Whatever it may be, whether it's work, family, friends, any form of commitment, we just have this obligation to others. So what advice will you give to the individuals that are still carrying burdens of expectations or perfection? How do you sift through that? How do you still carry a spirit of excellence, but also not be overwhelmed and burdened by expectations and perfection?
And so for every individual, of course, you're going to, what works for one individual may not work for another. And it was also said earlier today that, every queen is different, and so those bracelets represent so many things in which we deal with. You have, and even on, this call this afternoon on our, on this launch, we heard, from one queen that said, that basically she would get the jeans and put rips in them just because. We've heard, from the young ladies that, she's a choreographer. And so with choreographers, they carry themselves in a certain manner, and there are certain things that have to be right. And so everyone is different. And so one thing that I would like to share, though, is to live in the moment and to relax in the moment. And I received a call this morning, and I was sharing with someone, and as they were talking to me, I was overwhelmed just listening. And so I said, just stop for a second and breathe and live in the moment. Enjoy the moment. And sometimes we get so bogged down in the expectations of the world that we miss the moment. And so if there would be one piece of advice, it would be to just simply stop, breathe, take off that role, and just live in the moment and enjoy it. So.
Woo, 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 woo. What a word. We have to live in the moment, and we're in this moment right now. We have our queens available. We also have our CEO and founder of HBCU Pride Nation, Travis Jackson, who has come back to join us. But at this time, we just want to thank these amazing contributing authors for saying yes to documenting their story, for creating history today with the first ever HBCU Experience Movement virtual book launch, but also being the first authors to be the first edition of the HBCU Queens Royal Edition, with many more to come. As Dale stated earlier, we want to be able to capture our history and continue to just pour into our generations as we create our space in this world and offer it what it needs. With that being said, if you have any shout outs, we have your queens here in the comments. Let us know that you're here. Shout us out. If you have any specific questions, let us know. We'll try to get back with you, but please stay engaged with the HBCUExperienceMovement.com. But Travis, before the book launched, had the opportunity to use his platform to speak and meet with many of the queens in the book on Instagram and host a live Instagram chat. Travis, we just want to know from your organization, do you have any specific words to the queens or to the commentary of what you've heard today?
Now you know you can't ask me if I got some words. 'Cause I got words all the time.
I know you do.
But I never speak from like reading. I always speak from my heart. But I gotta read something real quick. But I really wish that the world, which we're doing right now, could really see, touch, and feel you all even more because of the way that, of course, we're here for HBCU Queens, but before you was an HBCU Queen, and what you will forever will be is a Black woman. The Black woman deserves so much more respect. The Black woman deserves so much more equity. The Black woman deserves so much more honor. And like, I love y'all. And like, just to hear everything that you all have been through and what got you here, always know that God has to take us through adversity in order to give us our purpose, in order for us to grow through it. Therefore, we have to go through it. But new levels means new devils, but also new blessings. And like, Carla was my Miss Freshman. And everybody know Travis and Carla, we was just about inseparable, got on each other's nerves, the whole nine.
Yes.
But when my queen called me, I'm there. And I've always loved HBCU queens. I've even talked to a lot of queens that were freshmen. I told them, you will be Miss A&T. You will be Miss this. You will be Miss that. Because when a woman has many gifts and you feel it, you know that it has to be cultivated. You all have been cultivated and you all are doing amazing things. So what I'm gonna read this real quick. I'm gonna get back into it. So God gives you spiritual gifts, heart and passion, abilities, a personality, and experiences, which as an acronym, it means shape. That makes you unique. And when you take time to figure out how God has shaped you, it gives you direction for where you should go with your life. One day you'll stand before God and he'll ask, what did you do with what I gave you? If you don't use your experiences and your shape for what God intended, you missed the point. You are here, you are saved to serve. It's called having a ministry. Using your talents and gifts to help other people. Fulfillment means being who and what God meant for you to be. You ladies have fulfilled your purpose and your best days are yet ahead. And I enjoyed talking to all of the queens that I spoke to. And like, I'm very, very touched. Keep pushing. Don't give up. Please don't give up. Because it's many more young women that need to be connected to you all. And you all, please don't do this for a moment. Let this be a movement, because imagine how many queens have come through HBCUs that's not on this line, and being able to bring all that together. I love you all. Be blessed and do what you do. Amen. God is good.
Yes, thank you, Travis. You see everybody so happy. I wish we could have everyone off mute just so they could shout back to you. It's been tough not hearing from my sister queens throughout the call, but it is lovely to see your faces and reactions. But Travis, thank you for your words. Thank you for your dedication, your ministry, your commitment.
And I got one more thing.
Let's go.
So little do people know, when I came in as a freshman, I was undecided, right? Like my major. And now I run a media outlet. And the person that told me that stopped me in a hallway and put some type of structure in my life and say that I needed to focus on public relations was Carla Ricks. I gotta get right there. But my queen made a tremendous impact in my life to be where I'm at right now.
And brother, I love you and I appreciate that. And Travis helped me with developing the humble spirit throughout how you approach and how you can really truly reach people where they are. So I think that will always be there, and that's what it's all about, for us to just go to our schools, see that real part of ourselves, and allow others to speak into us. So thank you for that, and thank you for your participation with the movement. Okay, with that, we have an exciting moment. Some people have joined because they saw a post that was affiliated with Leadership for Queens. There is a giveaway, so I'm going to hand it over to Dale to explain the giveaway, as also what is going to be occurring. Thanks, Dale.
So we had one of our volunteers, his production company, Devani Pope, Devani Productions, donated 2 books on behalf of the HBCU Kings and Queens Conference. And we really wanted to do something, and we'll probably continue to do this throughout the year. We really wanted to just do some things to just to keep the momentum going, to keep the Kings and Queens encouraged, to try to get them through this year, to make the most of their reign, to make an impact, to gather in groups as we are doing and create networks, sisterhood, and bonding. So we have 2 winners. We got over 900 likes and posts and comments. They liked both pages, the HBCU Experience Movement and our page, HBCU Kings and Queens. So our first winner is Deja S. Beasley, the 85th Miss Fisk University. That is Deja S. Beasley, the 85th Miss Fisk University. And our second winner is Silvana M. Horton, the 82nd Miss Tougaloo College. Silvana M. Horton, the 82nd Miss Tougaloo College. So we thank all the HBCU Kings and Queens. Keep following us. We're going to be doing special things for you just to encourage you. Reach out to us. We're here for you, and just keep that in mind. Thank you so much. And thank you to the HBCU Experience for all your love. And thank you, Sister Queens.
All right, Dale, thank you for hosting the book giveaway. That was awesome. And we're hoping that the winners enjoy their books and potentially will be participating in a future edition as the movement continues. So with that being said, I'm going to put this over to my big from the Alpha Mu chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, my Miss Senior from this freshman year, and the visionary author of this amazing movement that we have heard amazing contributing authors from today, Ashley Little, to close us out.
Hi, everybody. As you know, this has been amazing. Like, to all the queens, we would like to thank you all. Like, we are humble. The stories are amazing. For everybody that's listening right now, go get the book. You can get the book from Amazon. You can get the book from our website at www.thehbcuexperiencemovement.com, because this is a movement, right? Like Travis said, it's a movement. It's not just a moment, it's a movement. And I just want to thank every queen for answering the call, right? Answering the call to come and share your stories and start this amazing movement to create the first ever HBCU anthology, right? The first ever, right? Because it's going to continue. And I just want to give a special thanks to Dale Williams, who is our official partner, where a portion of the proceeds will be going to her amazing nonprofit. And we have some great things in store. Of course, I can't forget my partners, Uche, Bird, and Fred Witt. They are amazing, right? And I know Fred's going to come on in a second, but we would just like to thank you all from the bottom of our hearts, right? Because this has been amazing, right? I'm just so humbled to see how it just the stories, the energy, I mean, the spirit that was in here today was just amazing. I had to write down some notes, by the way. So I also want to give a special thanks to my amazing, Carla. I put Carla down. She's my mentee. She's my little sister. Anytime I ask her to do something, she has always said yes. She's always answered the call. I remember when she was Miss Freshman, when I was on the court, me and my line sister Candace Johnson took her under our wings, and we're just so proud of you, Carla, with everything that you're doing. She was supposed to be a part of the project, but she had some things that happened, but she's still here, and you just did amazing today, and we would like to thank you. We would like to thank you. Travis, every time we call you, you're there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Of course, I said thank you to all our special authors. Our lead author, Bridget Heron Williams. We could not do this without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bridget has been with us since we started this movement, right? She's been with us in the first A&T book, and she's leading the Queens. Anytime we call Bridget, she's a call away. She made sure that we had everything that we needed. She made sure that we had this amazing tech who's behind that you all can't see right now, Wilmina. Thank you, Wilmina, for making sure that everything's flow with, you know, the Zoom, the signing, all the hard work that you put into it. So thank you again, you all. And also I would like to say happy early birthday to Nicole. Her birthday is July 20th, which is Monday. Happy early birthday to Dale Williams. Her birthday is Tuesday, July 21st. And I'm gonna turn it over to my partner, Fred Witt, from here.
Guess you got to cut my camera back on, but sorry. On behalf of me, Usha and Ashley, the whole HBCU experience, I want to say thank you guys as well too. You guys are leading the way for the next up-and-coming queens, like this little one I had right here that was watching it. Now she wants to be camera shy, but when the camera was dark, she was all in the camera. But you know, thank you guys, man. You guys are changing, you know, you guys are changing the conversations, and you guys are, you know, letting the next generations know that, you know, there's opportunities out here for them as well too. And you guys are leading the way by being our queens. And like I said before, showing our younger queens that they can accomplish anything as well too by just looking up to you guys, because you guys are setting amazing examples. So thank you guys again.
All right, with that being said, thank you for joining. Once again, finally, you are able to get a copy of the book from Amazon.com, as well as the HBCU Experience Movement. Stay engaged with the website. There are going to be many other versions, not only the Royal Queens edition, but everyone knows our HBCUs are very complex with stories. So stay engaged with the website so you can be a part and hear those stories that might be most relevant for you. But thank you all again who are able to tune in, and we look forward to continuing change.